Hello everybody, my name is Mickey. I really appreciate you coming to my YouTube channel, especially since the last video that I did was back in 2014. So if you are interested in my Disney album from 2014, you can go back and watch that. But I do believe I will be doing an update. I just watched that video. It's not how I currently do my Disney albums. Obviously the layouts that were in there are still in there, but I've definitely changed up the order quite a bit. So it's on my channel if you want to watch, but I'm hoping to put out some better, not better, I'm hoping to put out updated versions of how I do my albums. So what we're going to be doing today is flipping through one of my albums here. My album is a Heidi Swap album from a Project Life kit that she did. And on the spine, what I did is I took a Project Life card. It was a digital Project Life card from Studio Calico, and I sized it in Adobe Photoshop, and then I printed it on photo paper because I actually found that when I do this on photo paper, it gets a nicer result than just doing it on cardstock. And then I slipped it in just like you normally would. Usually they have the little piece of cardboard or cardstock on there. So this is an album of a trip that I took several years ago. I finished the layouts for this album somewhere around 2018. And this album is all that little trip. And like it says, it's 24-hour adventure. I picked up my daughter from school that day. We drove all the way to 29 Palms. And then the next day we had a whirlwind adventure for the whole kind of rest of the day, and then drove home, as you will see. So this first is just kind of a title page, and then following that is an intro page. On that intro page, I chose to talk about the origin of the trip, and then a little bit, like I said, just talking about the same thing I said. I picked up my daughter Kaylee from school, and then we drove to 29 Palms to meet my best friend Holly and her friend Lindsay. So on this layout, I used a Project Life card. I believe this one came from Studio Calico. And then I stamped on the layout, also from Studio Calico. This is also, right here, a Polaroid frame style stamp from Studio Calico that I cut and put over it where it says Getaway, also a Studio Calico stamp. Over here, I used washi in the background with a repeating phrase stamp technique that I got as inspiration from Kitty Scraps. She doesn't even post videos anymore, but it was a really good tip and it came out awesome. I used some flare badges. Very happy with that one. On this one, I used a lot of journaling, but it is kind of a busy background, so it's a little hard to read, but in person, not totally illegible. Just talking about us, we met up at the hotel, then we went to a little Mexican place in 29 Palms, and I met Lindsay for the first time, and we hit it off great. So now she's one of my good friends, and it was all from kind of bonding that night, talking about X-Files, getting to know each other. On the layout, I used a little cut file right here from Studio Calico. Here, after we went to eat, we went up into Joshua Tree, into the state park part, and did some stargazing. I did some research to figure out how to use my DSLR to capture night photography. So it's definitely exposed, but you can still see here, you've caught some of the stars in the picture. Here I've done, my daughter absolutely passed out after a very busy day. I said I'd picked her up from school, but that day was also field day. So she was absolutely exhausted. I used a stencil and I used just a blending tool on here to get that technique going. And over here, the good old-fashioned packaging technique, it works great. And I used a Project Life card. So the next day we woke up, we got breakfast, we went to Palm Springs. We drove to Palm Springs from 29 Palms, and we went to the Palm Springs aerial tramway. On the layout I used here, I believe this was paint through a stencil, some splatters, another Project Life card here on this side. Then here, a wood veneer, simple layout. I actually put the date, so it looks like it was May 2nd, 2015. On this side, I did a backed cut file, and I'd taken off one day from work, and I decided it was going to be a day of scrapping, and I was going to back my very first cut file. So this is the first cut file I ever backed, and I hated it. It was, to say the least, something that I overcomplicated. The back of this, I didn't know what I was doing necessarily, and so I made it really hard. What you should do, which I now know, is that you kind of cut around like this. You know, you trace around a little bit bigger than what you want, and then you cut it out. And I just kind of cut and then tried to make it fit. All I remember is that I really wasn't into it, and I will say this year I have done several layouts. One of my goals for this year for scrapping is to create more with cut files, because I think they are so dynamic in the things that you can do with them. And looking at it, it's actually a fairly easy design to back in an easy way. So I look forward to doing more with it. I have learned to be slightly more comfortable. More to come. A layout from the aerial tramway. We went from the bottom to the top, and my daughter got a cookie the size of her head. So we just kind of did that at the kind of station there, and then we went out and did some hiking kind of stuff. This is my daughter making friends with a squirrel. And then they had a long kind of switchback walkway, and as we were going down, there were people coming back up telling us to turn around because it was really hard. It was really, really hard, because going down, not hard, but then you have to go all the way back up. And this is my daughter Kaylee and my best friend Holly, and they made it down far before Lindsay and I did, and so it's just them waiting and laughing and making fun of us. Did some hiking and running around and the whole thing. Really beautiful place. And then this one isn't really an activity, it's us going back down the aerial tramway and me just talking about how I think it's super cool, the little relationship that these two have together. This one is another kind of mixed media one. So again, packaging technique, and then I did embossing over it. I'll be honest, I don't remember whether I loved it or hated it. Looking at it, I think it looks stunning. So I actually might try this technique again and see if I have any regrets. This one was really fun. It's simple, and I was able to do just some simple letter stamps, and then just took a watercolor brush and kind of went over it. Packaging technique, as you can see, added some washi, some flair. This is kind of a roadside attraction outside of, in between where we were, in between the aerial tramway and the real, like the city of Palm Springs. There's a kind of roadside attraction that's all dinosaur related. It's cute. It's one of the famous ones. So this here is another Project Life card as far as I can remember. Maybe it was just a bit of ephemera, but you could very much use a Project Life card in this same way. Us inside, you can actually crawl inside the mouth of the T-Rex. For that one, let's see, at the Cabazon Dinosaurs is what the roadside attraction is called. This picture my daughter took of us in front of the dinosaur. And then we went to eat. It was fun, very themey to, it's really to me, the paper and all that. Even got a welcome to Palm Springs. I forget who did this collection. Very Palm Springs collection though. I believe the collection that this came from came out in 2018. So we decided to look for a restaurant. We went on to Yelp. We checked it out. We just wanted somewhere casual with good food. And we were recommended Jake's. And when we showed up to Jake's, they didn't deny us service. I feel like they were trying to hide us away a little bit because, you know, we were just really casual. We'd been hiking, we'd been doing all kinds of stuff. We weren't dressed fancy. We weren't in any kind of Palm Springs resort wear, nothing like that. But, you know, it's not like they refused us service. This is a special layout to me personally. I completed this layout at the very first Scrap Gals retreat in Salt Lake City. That's how I knew I completed these in 2018. And this particular layout, I got help with the layout from Crafty Jen Scow. So it's super special to me. It's a cool story on how the layout is. It's a cool story on, I think it came out really cool. This is the food we ate. This is my daughter just being silly. This side of it, simple mixed media. These were like, they were called screen prints or something like that. They came from Studio Calico, and it was kind of like a meshy, see-through-ish kind of thing. It was almost like a sticker. So you put it down and then paint and things could get through it. And so that's what I used. I used some paint and some mixed media to make that. This here, this is just washi. And then we end here at this layout, which is a Project Life card here. And then just journaling about how it was sad to say goodbye, but we had a wonderful time. We left after our big adventure, our big quick adventure. Drove home, got home at 1:12 a.m. And that's it. That's my Palm Springs quickie trip adventure. And I appreciate you guys sticking around, and I appreciate you watching the flip through. I hope to make more of these, and I hope to even try maybe a process video. So we'll see how it goes. Thank you. I'll see you later.